Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. I'm Sophie, the autistic autist, and today I have a story time for you guys. So, as I told you in the first video I made my story to getting diagnosed, I mentioned that I was in a medical facility as a teenager. With that hospital stay and around that hospital stay, I had a lot of bad experiences, and I want to talk through them today a little bit. All of those experiences are still kind of in my head, and I think talking about them here might actually help me work through them, because some of the things I would absolutely love to just go there and talk to these people now that I can defend myself better as a teenager. And I think letting it out into the world this way might help me. And it definitely will help me be a better doctor if I choose psychiatry. So first things first, so about 1-ish year before I went to the hospital, I had my very first visit with a therapist. And he was basically like playing my problems down. Maybe his intention wasn't to make them look small, but to me not worry, or to my mother not worrying too much. I felt like I wasn't listened by therapists and nobody could help me and everything like that. That really is not the best. I tried to ignore my problem then after this visit, and 1 year later I couldn't ignore it anymore, and on came my 3-day hospital stay where I actually had to stay there. So like sleeping there and everything, not just going there. And the first day I was basically just told that they will keep me and that there's no discussion. And yeah, then I got some clothes from my parents and had to live with what others decided over me. Which in a phase where you are trying to get control over everything and you feel so lost, was just horrible, because now I definitely had no control over things. But yeah, I couldn't change it, so what I did was I heavily stimmed because I didn't know how to cope, and yeah, mostly ignored others because I couldn't take more input in, and I tried to go to sleep. Sleeping somewhere that I don't know is always horrible, and I'm not the only autist who feels like that. And the thing is, I mean, they didn't know that I was autistic. At the first night where I was trying to cope with the change, they were basically like, what's even your problem? Why can't you stay here? And I told them how this just doesn't work out. Tried to communicate with them, but they were like, you can do this. And nothing they told me basically actually helped in any way. I was pretty alone with my problems that night. The next morning I woke up and I was told that I have to meet a psychiatrist, 2 nurses, I guess. There were a lot of people, and basically the seating was me on one side, and then there was the table, and on the other side they were like around me, sitting all there, directly parallel, or on the other side was the psychiatrist. And the others I don't know exactly, because I didn't ask at that time and didn't really know what they were for, but there was a therapist, a nurse, and stuff like that. But they were all sitting on the opposite side, and I felt so intimidated. I was very tired and weak because I was in a crisis. I felt very bad, and then I had to go through this night and this forced to stay thing, so I was very weak and wasn't really able to do a lot. And what they then did was they asked me things. They started with where I live and what I do and what I plan to do. And then came the question, like 5 minutes in or so, what do I want to be? Like, when you grow up, what do you want to be? And since I literally can think of, I always said doctor. I always wanted to be a doctor. And this psychiatrist that I now knew for 5 minutes or so asked me, why do you want to be a doctor? And I explained, and he always asked questions and was like, yeah, but you can be this or think about that. And he constantly asked me why and what and if I thought this through and stuff, and was basically like, but you're so sensible and stuff like that. And I always answered, yes, but I still want to be a doctor. Yeah, I know, but I want to be a doctor because that's been the thing for like, at this point, 15, okay, let's say 12 years at least. I think I was 3 when I first told people that. Anyway, that's in my mind for like my whole life. The whole time that I can think of, I wanted to be a doctor. I always try to learn new things. I put band-aids on my brother and everything. I really loved it. And here comes this doctor that I now know 5, 6, 7 minutes and starts talking about why I shouldn't be a doctor. And at one point I was like, what is this even for? What do you want from me? And he answered, he wanted to get to know me, and now he knows that I'm stubborn. And thinking of this, I get so angry because what did he think he could do? Like, I know him 5 minutes, but probably he thinks he's like the god because he comes in and is like, no, you shouldn't be a doctor. To a girl he just met who is in a crisis and feels very bad and now has to even fight for what she thinks and what she dreams of. And I wasn't feeling that good, so I couldn't really do much about it. Thankfully, he did go on, ask other questions. Yeah, but anytime I can think of this, I get so angry because how dare you? How dare you can think you can talk a little girl out of her dream? And why do you think just because I know you 5 minutes and that you can now tell me what life decisions I have to make? So obviously you can see I do get quite angry and I wish I could talk to the doctor again. But I don't think it's that good. Anyway, that was the first morning. The first experience there, they wanted me to stay there for weeks and get the therapy there and everything, like a stationary stay at the psychiatry. But I didn't want to. I told them so many times that the one thing I can't do is sleep there because I'm not comfortable with this, and I can really not heal if I'm forced to even have more stress. And that comes because basically I'm autistic. I know they didn't knew, but they were the ones, the experts on it. Anyway, I'm trying to tell you what the problems were. Basically, it was a new environment. I had no privacy at all. There were people coming in, judging me, people telling me what to do. And I didn't feel safe at all. I didn't feel under control at all. And I couldn't even stay at the house of my best friend. So why could I stay at a place like this? So I told them that I want help and I need help and I really do anything except for staying there. And the whole time they said, yeah, that's the only way we can help you. So I told them that I don't want to stay there, but if they have any other idea, I would love to do that. And that's how they try to convince me the next day, and at the end of the time that they can force me to stay there, they needed to let me out. And then my parents came to bring me home, and on the way out, I met a young, I think, medical student, maybe something like that. And she told me that she actually understands me and sees that I want help. And they have this like day clinic where you can come to every day, except for the weekends, and get the help there, like stationary, but without the thing of staying there, sleeping there. And I was so happy and thanked her so much. And we planned that next week I will start there. And things could have gone good, but instead they didn't. Instead, they thought that I manipulated everyone there into getting what I want. Autistic people are often told that they are manipulative. It kind of hurt. So I know I'm not the only one, but still it really hurts. And I didn't know that back then. And I felt really hurt and misunderstood. But I was it felt to me like a life or death situation, with that huge fear and everything being like as a huge crisis. And so I needed to fight for myself and fight to stay alive. So the first day I went to the day clinic, I was allowed. I got to know some things. Basically, I couldn't go into the areas where I was allowed before. I was only allowed in one room, that was the day clinic room. The other rooms I wasn't allowed, and I think it's mainly one way of them trying to punish me. And I was allowed to go to the therapist, like I had group therapy, I had a lot of different therapies. I also had music therapy, for example. Yeah, and then I had a psychologist who does the diagnostic stuff in Austria. I think she also was a therapist. I am not sure, but that's what I think, based on that she was the main thing for me. And on the first day, I started to loosen up a little bit, and unfortunately, I got one of those fear, panic moments that are like so horrible for me and make me so depressed, and I was so scared and I didn't know what to do. I was very new to this thing and it was so horrible for me. I asked for every help I could, and that's what I did then there, because I thought, now finally I can get help. Instead, they told me that she wasn't there at the moment. Like, I started on the first day and she only started Monday through Wednesdays, I guess, so she was part-time working. And they just told me that help isn't there for me today. But you can't plan panic attacks, you can't plan all of those things. I can't plan, like, in this minute I will feel horrible and next day I will feel better and stuff like that. You can't do that. And I was really desperate and trying to get help and crying and trying to help myself, like without even, I was in a kind of panic mode and trying to focus on something, trying to help myself and trying to ask for help. And it took them, I guess, 2 hours or so until they saw that I wouldn't get better, and then they allowed me to go to the other therapist that was there on Thursdays and Fridays, I guess. Other therapists, and I guess also psychologists. They brought me in a room with her and she started to talk with me, and she gave me some chocolate and we started to walk around the area. And it helped me calm down, but I kind of also realized that they didn't really help me at all. They tried to just get me on another topic and try to distract me. And in myself, I, at the first time, really, really realized they can actually help me. And that was kind of scary, but I tried to hide it, because I knew if I would realize this totally, I don't know what I would then, but yeah, I think I would have suffered so much. Anyway, I knew deep down, but I tried to forget it. Let's move on to the Monday, where the therapist, psychologist person was actually there. And we had our first meeting. She came into the room, was like, hello, and I need to tell you, I'm very angry. Like, why did you need to brag people into bringing you a therapist? Why couldn't you just wait till today? And it was really scary for me because I didn't expect that at all. I thought people there knew how desperate you are and how scary things are, and that I'm really trying to seek help. But she was kind of like, this is a 9 to 7 thing, like you can switch it off whenever you want, but that's not how mental diseases or any disease works. I didn't know that, and I wish I could talk to this person too and like tell her what the heck she was trying to do and why she was so angry and so mad and trying to really make the exact opposite of what I wanted, just because she wasn't there the first time when I actually needed help. Anyway, I couldn't change the situation, so I tried to explain it, but she ignored it. And then the next thing she said to me is that at the end of all of those meetings that we will have, she will tell that I need to go stationary again. She will tell that I need to go and stay there with them again. So, like, I actually really don't want to. Like, I tried to escape, and the one only thing that I couldn't do, because I knew it would only make things worse. And she told me that's the thing she will do then. And basically the next meetings I tried to open up to her, tried to tell you why I didn't want to stay, and she always made me down. And she always told me, yeah, but that's what she's going to do. That's the only thing she can think of for me and stuff like that. And she made really weird tests with me. She wanted to see if my intelligence went down now, and she made this like test with the ink splotches and stuff that you don't really use anymore. But anyway, she did, and I think I answered butterfly, 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 and she was really mad. But honestly, that was how we made butterflies in kindergarten. Like, we splotched on paint on both sides, and then we folded it and smooshed it and opened it back up, and here was the butterfly. So obviously it looked like that for me. But she was mad. I went from opening up as much as I could to the exact opposite. The more and more she hurt me. And I realized that if I just answer things, she's actually happier. So that's what I tried. And when this worked for a time and I thought we would go better, I had hope that things would actually go better and I can open up to her. So I started opening up to her, and she made me down with that. Everything I told her, she made sure that it would be the exact opposite of what I wanted. I told her that I love to write stories, and she always thought that I had suppressed anger. I'm not a very angry person. I mean, I'm angry at those people, and when I'm angry, I am openly angry. I don't really suppress anger, and that's what I told her. But she always said that's the case, and she knows that, and whatever I told her didn't change anything about that. And yeah, then I told her that I love to write stories, and I should show her one of those stories. And I showed her one that I was really proud of. A short story that I wrote in school and that everyone thought was pretty cool. I showed it to her and she was like, yeah, see, that shows that you have suppressed anger. That's like, it definitely shows to me that you have suppressed anger. And yeah, that's when I started to stop opening up again. And yeah, looking at it from this perspective, how should you help a person if the person feels like opening up to you is dangerous? that's not going to work. And because of that, the diagnosis she came to was absolutely bullshit. Like, seriously. Other doctors and psychologists and therapists in the mental health field all told me that this diagnosis was absolute bullshit and didn't really fit me at all. I don't know why anyone could think that this would work out. We had one meeting with all the parents and all the kids and all the head people, and that's where they told my parents things about me that they never told me. So I felt very weird and weak, and like I couldn't have any control over myself, and they talked to each other behind my back. And one main psychologist therapist that I was talking about, she actually used other people against me. I had one therapist that I really liked. It was the music therapist, and when I talked to her, she agreed with me and she understood me because she listened. And the main psychology therapist knew that, and she always used her against me. She always said, yeah, but that person agrees with me. She also agrees with me. She thinks the same things. I talked to her earlier and she thinks the same things about you. And then I went back the next therapy and told her, the music therapist, about what the main psychologist therapist told me. And she was like, no, I didn't mean that way. But yeah, I was actually being manipulated in this case. I would say it like that. And yeah, still they told me that I was the one manipulating all of them. And they told my parents things that they never told me. And I felt very uncomfortable because of that. And in that meeting, they also said, yeah, we know that Sophie isn't really working out with that main therapist psychologist, but we can't change it anymore. There's no way to change it now. So they left me suffering, basically. And as she told me at the end, she said that the only thing that she will recommend is me getting back to the staying there thing. It's called stationary stay in German, but I'm not sure if that's the right translation. Anyway, she always told me she will do that, and nothing I could do would change it, and nothing I did changed it. That about that. There are other things. They always thought I was anorexic just because I was thin. Nothing I told them, nothing my parents told them changed something about that. They actually weighed me at first every day and then every week in my daily stay and sleeping at home phase. And that didn't even convince them either, even though I didn't change weight at all. It took one of the nurses that was in the daycare room all the time to tell the doctors that I was eating fine and being hungry and I love to eat. And only then they started to somewhat accept it. Nothing I told them changed anything about what they were seeing in me. They were always going over my head. They were not listening to me at all. And that's so frustrating. And that was a very horrible experience for me. And yeah, that was my experience there. It didn't help at all for future therapy. I still mistrust therapists and psychologists, and I always think about unintentionally that they will try to manipulate me, and I'm always scared they will talk over my head. Even though I'm 22 now, I still am scared that they will talk to my parents and that they will influence me doing something I really don't want, or that they will talk to each other and then use that to try to manipulate me. I basically said no to a stay, but they didn't let me say no because they kind of convinced my parents. But the next time I could stay there for like overnight things, there wasn't like a immediate place where I could go to. They told me it would take weeks or months, and I needed to agree to that my mom would then tell them how I'm doing, and they would decide on that if I needed to stay or not. They always told me that they can force me, but on the other hand, they were trying to convince everyone around me, so they would convince me, basically. So I kind of felt forced anyway. And then I went to my first therapist outside, and it took a lot of time of talking through things until I actually trusted her. And all in all, that stay only made things worse. And that's my story, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't at all be like that. The way the doctors behaved wasn't helping at all. That's not how it should be. And I'm not trying to convince you to not stay at a hospital. I still seek out help from hospitals if I am at a bad state. It's a story that needs to be told, and it's a story to tell you as having mental problems to fight for yourself in those situations. Do everything you can to fight for yourself. And if you are medical staff listening to that, then you actually started the first process, and I'm thankful for you listening till now, because the first main thing is listening to patients and not trying to change things over their head. That will only make things worse. Please don't be like any person that I had to experience in my hospital stay. There's so many good things that they could have done. There are things like actually listening to me and giving me a feeling of control, giving me a feeling of being heard, and that me talking to them would be in any way effective. Because at the end I felt like whatever I say, it wouldn't change anything. And that's not how mental health help should work. And it's not working because the person you are trying to help feels like you are not to be trusted. And you only create another problem for them. And they won't open up to you. And if they don't open up, you can't change anything. So even though I know that there are patients out there that are manipulative, not because they are doing it because of anger or fun or something like that, but they are actually thinking it's the right thing, and I know that, but still it shouldn't change like to persons in psychiatry being like a thing that you can change around without asking for consent and without working with that person. Like, we are not things, we are people. Yeah, that's everything that I wanted to talk about this video. It's a rough topic, I know, and it's a thing that still comes up. Like, sometimes I get very defensive in situations because what the people told me was just so similar to what the people there told me, and I kind of switch off to super defensive mode accidentally just because of what I experienced. I hope this helped. I hope this didn't scare anyone away from psychiatry. I am trying to... One of the fields I am thinking of going into is psychiatry, and people can really help you, and I had many good experiences too. And I'm now in therapy and I'm feeling fine, and you can do this too. But you can also listen to yourself and try to work out things together, and you don't need to give up yourself and everything just to let someone else have the control over yourself and help you. That's not the way it works. And this facts, all of this, you can blame all of and I was really desperate. Other people in the mental health field, and I felt very uncomfortable of that. And I stationary, it's called in German, but I hope don't. I know I said that's it many times. It's a hard topic for me. Thank you for listening. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Bye!